Good morning, Ben. Welcome to AFA Today.
Hey, good morning, Michael.
Well, today's an exciting kind of edition of AFA Today because we're doing our first welcome to a new team member, and that's you.
I know, right? I am super excited to be a part of the AFA. We talked about it multiple times last week in our staff meeting.
So, AFA Today is to let our members, and specifically those folks who are kind of connected to AFA, our volunteers, whether they're volunteering at the national level or at the local level, kind of an insight of what's happening at AFA today. And so, this is big news. So, for those folks who may not know you and may not know your background, let's talk just for a moment about who you are and your experience in the industry, and then we'll kind of move through our discussion items.
Yeah, well, I'll just kind of give you where I grew up, kind of a story here. I've been 30 years in the fence industry, a little over 30 years, and started out building dog kennels for a local fence company near my hometown in Van Buren, Arkansas. And it was just a small little company. They did residential work here and there, and it just kind of graduated. There's so many different opportunities in this industry, and it's kind of followed me throughout my career. Like after that particular job at Frame Mill Fence, I moved to Jonesboro, Arkansas, to go to college, and went to school there at Arkansas State, and started working for a company there in Jonesboro called Dacus Fence, and at that point, I was installing, helping with the crews and things like that until I told the owner, "Hey, I've got classes I've got to take, and it's kind of conflicting." And he
Yeah.
goes, "Well, why don't you sell for me?" And for a college kid, I mean, that was fantastic because I got to set my own hours. Or guess what? I had classes during the day. When do homeowners want to meet? They want to meet in the
Yeah.
evening. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I travel all over that territory, and sold fence and enjoyed it so very much. I got to meet a lot of great people. I got to watch the business grow, and it was everything from residential all the way up through commercial, industrial. We didn't really do a lot of high security, but tiptoed into that industrial. Did a lot of cell phone towers at the time because that was big and upcoming, and that was around 1996. So when I got out of college, I thought, man, I've got this degree. I'm going to do great things. I'm not going into the fence industry. I'm going to go do something great, right? And I went to work for this guy. I actually moved to Colorado at that point, Denver, Colorado, and worked for this guy for about a month and a half. And when you work for people, you're like, yeah, this isn't going to work out.
Yeah.
His thoughts and direction were much different than what I wanted to do. And so I hit the trail, throwing resumes out and whatnot. And I remember walking into a couple of the local distributors there, and one old boy, he goes, "You need to contact this fence company." And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. I mean, distribution sounds fun. I want to do. And he goes, "No, trust me." So, and that was Mr. Cruz from Merchants Metals. He is since passed, but a great guy. And he turned me on to this company. A guy had just purchased Metro Fence out of Broomfield, Colorado, and he was looking for some talent, somebody who knew the background of the industry a little bit. And I remember walking in, having a conversation. I was kind of cocky, and I was like, "All right, what do you got for me?" And he's telling me a story. He's like, "Yeah, I just moved from, I think at the time, Oregon, Washington. I think it was Washington." And he goes, I really want to build this company up. Here's my ideas. And I really need somebody who knows it. And he goes, based on your background, you're a good fit. And I'm like, all right. And he goes, here's what I'm willing to pay. And he slid across a little business card with an offer on the back. And I said, when can I start? So I mean, and I'll tell you what, working for Metro Fence, he was um, he was on fire. He really wanted to build a business and build it big, and we did. Over the next 4 years there, we grew that business by over 5 times. And they were only a commercial, industrial, high security contractor. And the cool thing about that is, we've been talking about how businesses are scaling up. So I was, I don't know, about a year and a half in, and he goes, "I want to add gate operators and access control."
Yeah.
And at the time, there was no school, there was nothing out there. This is, back 2001, two, and so he started calling around and found a company down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and called him up and he goes, "Come on down for the weekend. I'll train you on, all these things." And Max Craik with Logical Decisions taught us a lot. I mean, it was drinking from a fire hose about gate operators and the different access controls, put us in touch with some key people in the area. And it was really a fun ride. And I remember one of our first jobs, when you do something for the first time, you're always not the best at it, but I remember going out on this job site and we're all there because we're all invested. We're wanting to do good, and it happened to be a Pepsi manufacturing facility, and they just wanted to gate operate a couple loops. So me and our crews were cutting the loops and putting them in, and then we go back to the shop and we're like, "Hey, Vern, we didn't get enough caulk." And he goes, "What are you talking about? How much caulk did you put in those holes?" And I'm like, "Well, we use this whole box. I mean, how much is it supposed to take?" He goes, "Maybe a tube." So needless to say, we figured out that the depth of the cut makes a big difference, and you
I
don't have
bet.
to go all the way down. So a lot of life lessons there. So, but we could continue to improve, and that was really a lot of fun building up that business. And he has since retired and sold the business. In fact, he had 3 or 4 different businesses, from what I understand, in that Denver area. So in 2004, I was having kids and things like that, and felt the need to kind of come back to home, and got in contact with one of our reps at Ameristar, and he goes, "Hey, we're right now we're growing. If you're serious, let's talk." So I remember flying to Ameristar, one weekend, and sitting down and talking to who was that? Mark Meek, and of course Eddie Gibbs, and Scott Galbraith was there at the time, but a lot of key Bill Shanky, a lot of key people from the industry were there, and got to hear about this new product launch that they were coming out with, and that was exciting because they were literally in the growth mode, and everything is kind of history from there. I mean, that business has quadrupled,
Yeah.
and during that time from 2004 to recently, I spent 20 years there. I've had over 5 positions, and got to see and do a lot of great things, and they helped me grow. And that's how I really got connected with the AFA. We did a lot of stuff on the gate operator side early on, and of course, Eddie at the time was a believer and invested a lot into the AFA and having the school there. So that's really where I got to meet some of these great people within the industry, and make those connections. So, I mean, even I think Sarah with AFA, that was like her first right out of college job, it seems. And we got to connect and get to become friends there. So that was exciting. And which brings me to today. I'm now working for the AFA, and I get to see things change. I get to be a part of that movement and moving the industry forward, which is totally exciting.
What strikes me about, hearing your story from start to finish is how like it is so many of our members and where they are in their businesses. So if you think about even the part of exiting the fence industry and the fence industry pulling you back into it, it's this idea of how our folks, especially the folks that we target with AFA, those entrepreneurial minded people who want to grow their businesses and scale their business, those entrepreneurs that are interested in growth and interested in connecting with others to help grow. It just strikes me as your story is kind of the story of lots of our entrepreneurs that are part of AFA today.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's talk about the decision to come to AFA. What attracted you to this job? Um, What was it that made you think, you know what, this is the next step in my career path?
You know, being on the manufacturing side, you get to kind of see things through a different lens, and being able to see all the transitions that AFA has had throughout the years, the different management groups, and how the board and the board of directors, and how all that has transpired and formed, going from it seemed like an industry that was struggling to today is growing and thriving. It made sense. With the work that I do through ASTM, um, eh, connecting with Catherine on your team, and throughout the years, talking to Tony Thornton, and him involving ASTM, because it's important to have those standards out there. Um, it just makes sense that this is the vessel in which true change can happen, and we can see it in a short time frame. There are so many people who are passionate about that, and taking a couple of the skill sets and things that I've known and developed over the years to help guide this industry. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that, to be an integral part of this? I mean, it's literally exciting.
Well, one of the things, so I don't think we said it off the bat, is that your role is going to be filling a gap for us. I mean, we definitely have um, wanted to challenge ourselves in terms of how we tell our story and how we market ourselves. And that was the role that you were in at Ameristar. And so talk about your vision for how we tell our story moving forward.
Well, I kind of jotted down, three different goals. Like, because there's so much to do, and there's so many opportunities to grow, but this is kind of the point where you kind of step back and you got to prioritize. Well,
Correct.
what should we do first? What's going to move the needle the most? And I think some of the easiest things, number one, put down here, to try to really market the AFA channels more effectively. So that's aligning the message, to better connect with our partners, and of course the industry leaders. That's number one. And because we have a lot of different channels, I think you put it well recently. You were talking about how everybody's, you know, playing their songs and playing their instruments, and it's a lot of noise, but it's not a symphony yet. And I think
Yeah.
that's the key, is trying to write that music so we all can play, and it becomes harmonious. So that's one thing. um, the next thing, or one of my goals, of course, is that visibility. I've heard throughout the years, and even recent meetings, so many things that people they're ideating about, and they're talking, hey, it would be great to have this, or it'd be great to have that. And if they
We
already have
already do
it,
that.
they
Yeah,
already
we
do
already
it.
do
I've
it.
heard that on a lot of different of podcasts and things like that. Oh yeah, we already do that. So I think it's important to increase that visibility, drive awareness of all the programs and activities that AFA has. So that's both national and through the chapters. So
So
that's
what I like about that particular goal is, our overall message is about engagement, and you have a place where you belong, where you can get engaged and where you can create impact. And so when we hear these ideas about, wouldn't it be great if we did XYZ, and we're already doing XYZ maybe at a smaller scale, it's this idea how we can draw out people's passions and amplify whatever that, we were on a call earlier where this idea from a education idea came up, and it's like, well, there's already three or four things that are built in that bucket, but nobody has stood up and amplified it. And if you're passionate about it, here's a way for you to get on board and amplify that particular message. And so that's what I love about filling your role with somebody with some good industry experience, is you're going to help people connect the dots and help them find their passions. And so that's going to be the challenge, I think, is as you define the messaging and you make that more clear so people that are hearing us better, and you define the channels, that's kind of tuning up the orchestra. That's the idea of that we're all making noise, we're all creating and playing our songs, but we're not doing it harmoniously yet. And I think that's, you get the channels set, you get the messaging set, and things that tune up starts to happen. So that's
Oh,
very exciting.
oh,
So,
absolutely.
so you said you had three, so I didn't want to cut
Oh
you
yeah.
off.
Yeah, and just to also just that second thing, the awareness piece. It's
Oh,
like I was mowing the lawn last night and I was thinking about that awareness piece. It's like going to try to find a tool in your toolbox and you can't find it. And it just ticks you off and you kick dirt and you're fighting mad and you spend 30 minutes trying to find a tool when you could have gone down to the store and bought one. So it's a matter of organizing, knowing where those tools are so that we can easily use them. So, and sometimes it's just that easy is, putting those things in place and showing people where they are so they can continue to go back to that same toolbox every time and go, well, here's my pliers. I know what to do with them now. So, that's one of the things I'm thinking about is just that, just a little bit of organization drives that awareness through the roof. So that third thing, um, I'm really excited about this one too because I put down better connections to industry leaders and develop stronger partnerships.
yeah.
Um, we focus a lot on fence contractors, but I feel that there's this opportunity to better know all of our partners in the industry too, to be able to tell the story, to be able to have avenues that where they can succeed as well. And I think we're doing the fence contractor piece well, and we can continue to do that better. But also, to amplify and bring our partners into the mix as well. So I'm excited about stopping and connecting with these individuals and identifying how can AFA better help you build your business. And I think there's a lot of opportunities. It's just like I said, let's just put each one of these things into a list, a priority list, and just start knocking them out.
Yeah, a lot of people, with regard to making that distinction between a supplier organization or a contractor organization, and how do we partner with each of those? I think that is the wrong question. We represent the entire industry, and I think that it's not a chicken or egg question. It's not, do you have the contractors and the suppliers show up? No, you have ways that we partner with the supplier side to help them grow their businesses, and ways
Right.
that we appeal to the contractor side to help those folks build and grow their businesses. And together we advance the industry. So we have, and
Absolutely.
that's been since 1962, that's been our forte. This idea of what are the challenges, and then how do we tackle those challenges in the industry together? So whether you're talking about at the very beginning, a Portland cement issue causing havoc in Southern California that ended up galvanizing the whole entire industry, or you're talking about gate operating systems and helping make those things safer, or you're
Mhm.
talking about where we are today, which is what are those things that help grow the industry. Those are the things that it doesn't matter where you sit in what seat you sit in. uh, Growth is good.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what excited me about the job, because I get to be a piece of that. I get to help guide it. And not to mention, I get to be deeper in the community. So
Yes.
that community of AFA, there's a lot of great people in this industry.
Yes,
And
there
being
is.
able to stop and connect with them, it just brings joy to my heart. Shoot, the other day I got a phone call, a congratulatory phone call about this position from Randy Ward, and he was so super excited. And I got, man, I get to work with Randy more. This is good.
Well,
So I
that's
mean,
good that it was one of your, because that's one of the welcoming calls that I got to when I started. And that was, Randy Ward has a way of making you feel good about the contributions you're making.
yeah. So and like I said, there are so many people just like him. So that's exciting.
Well, I know folks are going to have a lot more of you as you get your feet underneath you, but I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you and welcome to the staff. I look forward to the great things that you're going to do to advance the industry, and I really appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you for this opportunity, and like I said, it's a joy to be a part of such a great staff and be here at such a pivotal moment in the industry where we can really move this forward professionally. So, thank you
All
again.
right. Well, Ben, thanks very much. And everybody, we'll talk to you soon on the next episode of AFA Today.